Hello and welcome. This is Groovy Gift Giving. My name is Theodore. In this video, we're going to discuss the topic of buying a gift that is appropriate for the nature of your relationship. Whether we like it or not, buying a gift sends a powerful message. Sometimes that message can be good, sometimes it can be negative, depending on the circumstances. The message you intended to send might not be the message that they receive with that gift. If you are sending them an expensive gift and you want to say, this is how much I love you or how much what I think about you, if there's a mismatch in your relationship, that can make someone very uncomfortable if they don't have the same feelings about your relationship as you do. So this is a topic that can get a bit complex, and it's something that I can't sit here and tell everyone, what is an appropriate gift for every relationship, because that's something I need to figure out on my own, and that's sometimes a difficult thing to figure out. But what I can say is that casual acquaintances, it can be weird to buy them something really super over the top expensive. And obviously, if you have someone who you're close to, you need to make sure that you're sending appropriate messages for the people who are close to you as well, because if you get them something that's thoughtless or cheap, that can be sending them a message that you don't think of them as highly as they think about you. An expensive gift for a casual acquaintance might be perceived as creepy or potentially manipulative, or maybe even condescending, particularly if there's an imbalance between, one person makes a lot more money than the other or something like that. There's, I guess, just a lot of pitfalls when it comes to the nature of a relationship when it comes to gift giving. And these are things that we maybe shouldn't obsess about, because you can get yourself into problems when you're obsessing about it too much, but it is something you need to have on your mind when you buy a gift as well. So a couple of examples here. I mentioned in, I think it was the first video I made on this channel, an experience I had when I was in college and I was working at a hardware store where a coworker whom I was not close to, we weren't great friends, we weren't even great work friends, we were casual acquaintances at best. And one day on my birthday, he went out to a store and bought a full sheet cake for me for my birthday, and it sent the message I received from this was more confusion than anything else, because it was an expensive cake and we were both in college at the time. We were both working our way through college at the time, and obviously if you're doing that, you don't have a lot of money left over to go buy extra things, and so going out and getting someone a gift like a big birthday cake is it was way more significant than, say, if one of my work friends nowadays had bought me a big cake like that. This was a very significant message, and I was more confused about it because it's not something I would have ever thought about doing for him, and it wasn't something he did for anyone else. And it also was something specifically that the owner of the store's wife always did on people's birthdays, and so she was upset about it too. So it was definitely a person, for reasons I to this day don't understand, going out and getting a gift as of a big full birthday cake. That again was just, I'm confused about it. It was the way I perceived our relationship was casual acquaintance, coworker. And he was buying me a gift that I would have perceived at that time period would have been a very close friend would have done that. And if a very close friend had done that, a very close friend who was paying attention to my likes and dislikes would not have gone out and gotten me that cake. It wouldn't have made a whole lot of sense. So this is one little example from my life that I have that shows where someone wasn't really paying attention to the nature of our relationship and went out and bought something that I wouldn't have said it didn't really offend me. It just was confusing and made me a little bit uncomfortable. If I'm being honest, it made me a little uncomfortable. Another example I mentioned in my last video, the one on the topic of getting a gift for them, was my coworker in a professional environment who went out and bought all or most of her coworkers' bottles of wine as a Christmas present. And I talked about how that was an inappropriate gift for a lot of people, very appropriate for me, but not for everyone. And this was a type of gift that, in my opinion, you would give out to people whom you know well and know that they are a drinker for, or maybe it's just to make sure that they're a drinker and that they, you're not giving this gift to someone who either is just doesn't like alcohol, or for someone who doesn't drink for some sort of religious reasons, or moral or personal reasons, or especially in this case where I said that this woman didn't know anything about me and didn't know if I potentially could have been a recovering alcoholic, and she's giving me something that's very inappropriate for a Christmas present for me. And yeah, it was a gift that on the surface, I want to say that it's a fun and appropriate gift, but when you're not putting any thought into the nature of the relationship or the knowledge you have about someone, this becomes a very inappropriate gift for the nature of that relationship. Now, another aspect of this that is worth getting into and could potentially lead me to expanding this video quite a bit. Maybe I should make a separate video about this this topic I'm about to get into, but that's when you buy a gift for someone. In a lot of circumstances, you are creating an obligation for them, an obligation for them to go and buy a gift for you. If you are particularly in, let's say, if you celebrate Christmas and you're getting close to the Christmas holiday, and you've already made out your Christmas list, or your list of people whom you are going to exchange gifts with, and you are all of a sudden on one of the days before Christmas given a gift by someone whom you weren't expecting to buy you a gift, it makes for an awkward moment of, oh, I didn't buy you anything, and now I've got to go out and get you something, or try to find. I know that this is where a lot of times where the concept of regifting comes in, where you've received a gift from someone that was boring and uninteresting, and you just grab that one and quickly try to fulfill the obligation of having to get that person a gift. I am not in favor of us expanding our list of our shopping list, I guess, more and more and more and more, to add more people to it, especially if it's something that makes us or other people feel overwhelmed or stressed out, or creates some sort of financial burden, which is something that unfortunately we do a lot in our gift exchanges. And I think at times this feeling of having a year-round obligation to buy people gifts for birthdays and anniversaries and graduations and of course Christmas or Hanukkah. And I think that where we can maybe stress people out even more unnecessarily, or stress ourselves out more unnecessarily, is when we start adding more people to our list out of obligation. And this, I think, happens when we are maybe, if we get a new friend, or maybe get closer to someone over a calendar year, and then leading up to Christmas, we think, oh, hey, this person has risen to a gift exchange level of friendship, so we need to start buying gifts for them, exchanging gifts, which again, obviously I wouldn't have this channel if I wasn't a huge fan of exchanging gifts. But when we find ourselves in a moment where we feel obligated to buy all these presents, and then all of a sudden we are adding more people to the list, it makes things stressful. It takes the fun not just out of the gift exchange experience, but it just adds unnecessary stress, unnecessary burdens, unnecessary financial burdens to our life when we start to add more and more people. So this is where I think when you have a friend and you begin to perceive them as a person that has risen to the level of let's exchange gifts, I think this is where you need to approach that delicately. Unfortunately, a lot of people will just begin to perceive that you have risen to that level of exchanging gifts, so you just go out and buy them a gift, either assuming that they're going to buy you a gift as well, and if you haven't talked about that, then you can surprise them with a gift that they weren't expecting, which is an awkward moment to be in, where you're all of a sudden thinking, oh crap, they got me a gift, I didn't get them a gift. I feel like a bad person. I feel like I've sent a message by not getting them a gift that we aren't close, that we aren't that close. And so this is where I think it's not necessarily that it's an inappropriate level of a relationship to start exchanging gifts, but it is exchanging gifts. It's something that we need to do delicately because we can add undue stress to someone. And I think that one thing we can do that I've done multiple times in my life, where I'll tell someone, hey, I would like to get you a gift, is that okay? Or if you already have too many people on your list whom you need to buy gifts for, we can maybe do something different, something other than a gift exchange, which can be a huge relief for people of, let me take you to lunch, or let's go to lunch together as a Christmas, let's spend time together, rather than let's go ahead and get something for one another. Let's go share an experience in one way or another. And that can be very meaningful, but it also, if you're, say, in the middle of a very stressful holiday season, or just a stressful time in your life, that is a very welcome moment. And like I said, I've been in that moment many times, but I have also on numerous times witnessed people buying gifts without having any sort of communication about, let's take this to the next level, let's take this and let's start buying gifts for one another. And it creates a very awkward moment that makes the other person feel bad and makes them sometimes feel bad for not having bought you anything, or in other circumstances will make them do that thing where they sort of rush, oh, I got you something too, and then they end up regifting, which regifting is a whole other topic to get into. But ultimately, this is something that I think we need to be a little bit more deliberate with in our lives, where we pay attention to the level of the relationship, be it a close friendship or a spouse or significant other. And for those people, we have a very open line of communication about what the gift expectations are with them, and that we have a plan of some sort of how we're going to exchange gifts. I like to do themes, which I'll do a whole video, probably a series of video on themes in gifts. I think it's really fun, especially if you want to have really meaningful and fun experiences and not necessarily spend a lot of money. That's where themes can get really, really good. Or I think a lot of times with families, particularly when everybody's getting a little bit older and you're not as reliant on holidays for getting anything like when you're a kid. You know, I remember when I was a kid, that's when you got anything was birthdays or holidays. So you kind of rely on that, and obviously it's very different gift exchanges with adults and with children. But I think that when you're in professional environments or in family scenarios where everyone's a little bit older, you can start doing something that's not a typical gift exchange where you're always going out and getting something that's expensive or even very thoughtful. You can do sort of games with some sort of gift exchange that doesn't really add to anyone's stress or a burden when it comes to a gift. So there's a lot to go into with themes, or like I said, gift exchange experiences and games that we can go into at some point that can make the importance, the experience, not necessarily the gift that you're going to get. So this topic is a little bit interesting because it does overlap with just about every other topic tip on this list, on my top 10 list. But it is something that does need to be addressed directly, I believe, because it is something we need to really do. We need to keep this in our mind when we're giving gifts, and making sure that we are not sending an unintended message with a gift, be it for overdoing it with someone who's an acquaintance, or with underdoing it with someone whom we're very, very close to. The importance, of course, is always communication and making sure we're not catching anyone off guard with a gift, and therefore a message that we really weren't intending to send. Okay, so that is it for this video. In my next video, I will address the tip number 4 on my list of 10 tips for next level gift giving. That topic is to avoid generally accepted ideas of gift giving. So avoiding cliches, avoiding assumptions that are more cultural than personal. So if you like this video, please consider liking or subscribing, and I will see you in my upcoming video. Thank you.